I'm on a date tonight, so I'll have to just look good. I'll just do it in front of her, shouldn't I?
He's kept going! He's scored! Oh, Stockport pressure. And a superb goal! Changing it. Lisa! Rose tries to get the ball in. Wilkinson!
It's a 5-star performance from Stockport County.
All right, we got a small house, but we got a big bloody heart, I tell you.
Once there was a man. This man was enraptured with the idea of talking shit with a view to recording and releasing it for a discerning audience. Along came Hannah. She made him feel, not 16, but maybe 30-ish again. He thought, yeah, I will buy the blue milk, and to hell with my narrowing arteries. I will make use of that StatsBomb subscription, the ins and outs of which we really don't want to go into. This man was enraptured with her capacity for talking shit with a view to recording and releasing it for that discerning audience. So that's what they did, every week. Sometimes in their separate homes, sometimes not. On occasion, it was in front of an audience that had paid cold hard cash to watch people they liked talking shit. The man thanks her for those stolen evenings, even though they were stolen. They're not your property, love. You're going to have to give them back. If you got that, well done. If not, you should probably read more or just watch more Partridge, either. Yes, sadly, Hannah has decided to leave us to spend time with her remaining EFL stickers, but we thank her from the bottom of our hearts for everything. And do not worry, she won't be a stranger. Hello and welcome once again to SK3 TV, the podcast for the thinking county fan, provided that county fan's thinking. I have ears and or eyes, as well as a brain. I have two of the above three. This show sounds like it's just for me, sorted. Yes, after a short break, we're back and raring to go each week, bringing you an unfiltered look back at the last 7 days in SK3. Joining us tonight, we've made his loan spell a permanent one. Tried to do the unveiling video at the Plaza, but there was a 2-week block booking under the name of Richardson. Don't know what that was all about. From bit part player to a regular starter, don't ever let it be said that there's no pathway to the first team here at SK3 TV. It's Dave Philbin. Hi, Dave.
Good evening. How are you?
Good, yeah. As Ian Dowden points out, Hannah's not looking well. No, you're not, are you?
No. What about me, though, Ian? Don't answer that, Ian.
Yeah, we'll leave. Well, I'll block him now, and we'll get that out of the way. Talking of getting things out of the way, we'll get the admin boxed off bright and early. So we are, of course, proud. Not just, I think we're going beyond being sponsored by, but we're in association with the Blackbird Group, encompassing Blackbird Kitchen at Gorilla Manchester, Len's Chippy in Droylsden, and the soon-to-be relaunched, as an exclusive, the soon-to-be relaunched Blackbird Burger. Check out their website in the bio, and be sure to follow them across all major social media platforms, and the minor ones too. And while you're doing it, do the same with our pages, and also like, rate, review, recommend, all the good stuff. Done. Nailed that. I really thought I wouldn't be able to get through that without Hannah, but sorted. It's just the rest of it.
Making me do that bit. Really
just the rest of it, mate. I didn't want to throw you into it in your first week, but don't worry. You'll be practicing that in front of the mirror before the week's out. What else? Thursday nights. Thursday night is the place and time to be with that irresistible mix of music and big match build-up with Geordie Hatter. That's every Thursday from 7:30, and you can also check out our accompanying playlist that we've been compiling together over the last couple of years or so, and there's a lot of good stuff on there. Finally, ending the admin on a bit of a sadder note. Obviously, we've not been on air since the news, so we've not been able to mention it, but I want to send our condolences to all the family and friends of Phil Robbie, who I'm sure all of us know. A regular viewer of this show as well, a regular viewer and contributor in the comments. So really good to see a real outpouring of affection for him. He's after, I mean, it's been about 15 years since I first started going around the country, watching county on my own. I mean, non-league was the first time I started going to away games because I had people to go with, and he was one of them. Who just, yeah, and every story I have related to Phil Robbie. It involves him asking me to host something, promising to pay me in beer, and then paying me in the beer before I've started hosting, and just evenings degenerating. So what more of a tribute could we ask for? And I think everyone's going to have a story like that. So that'll be a good funeral on Tuesday.
There won't be any County fan, young or old, who doesn't know at least Phil Robbie's face. And I think last week at the home game, when there was a bit of uproar about the Plymouth fans singing during the minute's applause, even though they didn't know what was going on, is just what Phil Robbie would have wanted. So there was uproar on behalf of, but he would have loved that. It was just perfect.
The only way that tribute could have been more fitting is if we'd scored a hilarious own goal during the minute's applause.
Yeah.
I think that would have been utter perfection. That would have been like, yeah, that's what I want when I go. Sorted. I mean, we know what I want. I want a minute of Nick Lee's a wanker. Thank you very much. Not now. Wait till I'm dead. Right, let's get our guest out. Much like myself and Dave, he's not actually in charge of County's social media. It's Liam Richardson. Hello, mate.
Guys, how are we?
Good, mate.
We're banging. So first things first, I think we should go chronological with the week, because obviously Monday was a fascinating day for everyone as it is, but you've got a sort of... No, I'm still here. I think it's a you problem, Dave. So obviously, I think you've got more of a unique insight. So at what point was the Plaza booked? That's the big question.
Yeah, we actually did that filming on Friday, and everything in the bank ready to go. We kind of knew all window that the Louis thing was likely to happen. But because of the nature of, obviously, the fact that he's injured and there'd have to be expectation management, we always felt like it'd be best as something announced at the end of the window as deadline day, because then it's kind of like, we've done our business, we've made all these signings, and then here's Louis as a bonus to hopefully get that fit for the last 10 games or so.
Yeah, it's great. At what point, because seeing the stuff you put out on your personal accounts and stuff, like getting to do that on the Plaza stage and everything, that's like a proper like bucket list sort of thing, isn't it? What was there a point where you absolutely shat yourself, where you just sat down the station thinking, oh my god, how am I doing this?
A little bit, because I love the Plaza. I go there a lot with my dad. It's a pretty iconic building, isn't it? So it was a bit surreal at the time, but we were there all day, so I'd had the whole day to prepare myself, and it went pretty smoothly. It was an easy interview. It's one of the easiest interviews I've ever had to do, because you just know that Louis loves County, so it was just a case of just letting him talk about it, really. So, but yeah, all the content came out, great, and it looked really good. A nice way to cap off the window.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the whole using Stockport landmarks, but do you not worry that you've gone too big with the Plaza too early? And we're going to have him like abseiling off the viaduct in the summer window?
Yeah, I mean, then we'll have to do one on the 192 bus or something towards the end, won't we? But I think, like I said, I think we challenged ourselves as a media team this month to be a bit bigger and a bit bolder and a bit braver with what we do. Some of it landed well, some of it maybe people didn't understand straight away, and you would take learnings from that. But it's certainly something we want to push forward with more so in the summer as part of a wider kind of expansion of the brand strategy, essentially.
Yeah, I went through a phase a couple of years ago, Joe. I think it was during one of our particularly frustrating windows since we've been back in the EFL. I think it was the one where we ended it by signing Odin Bailey and people lost their minds.
Yeah. Dave Chapman was at the cricket. Yeah,
that was it. Yeah. Oh, what a time to be alive. Oh, he's at the cricket. I'm guessing nothing's going on then. Yeah, because everything's beholden to the manager when it comes to transfer dealings nowadays. God almighty. But yeah, I just got to the point where I was so bored. I was just posting pictures online of random things that I'd seen in the hope that people had assumed there was some sort of clue. So it would just be a picture of a traffic cone outside Stockport station and people thinking we were going for Kone from Wickham, and it was just people went mental. You can feed people anything at that point, and it's just I was really. I mean, I'm always relieved when the window ends, and I think you're the same as well, Dave. But from a professional point of view, what's the first thing you do when that window shuts, Liam? When you know there's nothing more to put through, you have no more work to do. Is it just this immense feeling of relief and getting back to the normal day job?
Yeah, relief on a couple of points, because it's nice to now be able to go to the pub after a game and not have your head pecked, or go out for a drink in Blackpool without people trying to listen into your conversations in the pub with your friends and things like that. You know, it's nice to have that kind of out of the way. Like you say, you can focus on the football, but also, yeah, it was, like I say, we tried to be bigger and bolder this month, so it was demanding. I know there was only 6 signings, but it was demanding in terms of turning the content around. So yeah, there's an element of relief, and then usually on deadline day, once the window's shut, Simon Wilson tends to take everyone out for a pizza in Sale. So yeah, it's a nice process. Once that's over, everyone kind of pats themselves on the back for a job well done, and like you say, crack on for the rest of the week. And it's been a busy week, and with everything else going on anyway, so not really had that time to rest and relax yet, but hopefully that'll come after Tuesday.
You just mentioned everything else that's going on. So the Hungarian link up has there's been a bit more meat put on the bones this week. I think we've stopped doing his first interview. Really, really pleased that the amount of county fans that would like to see us back in non-league has gone down to 5%. That's good. Big fan of that. He's revised that. I think it's more about 4.5 than 5, but we'll get that down. So in terms of putting a bit more meat on the bones, what would you say are the big takeaways from what's come out over the last week or two, Liam?
I think kind of what the original statement said, and it was more a case of reinforcing that it's a very separate thing from county. There may be some slight overlaps from like a supporter point of view in terms of, I think Mark mentioned about hopefully taking some fans over there and some of their fans over here.
Is this a permanent thing? Because I can nominate some to go over.
I'll leave them there. Yeah, maybe.
Then you just mentioned.
And there may be some overlap in terms of like pre-season and stuff, but outside of that, it's a very separate thing. This is more of a business opportunity, I suppose, for Mark in terms of investing in the country, in terms of property and the like of that. And obviously, owning the football club gives him a platform to be able to do that. But it's very much not a multi-club ownership thing. It's not a City Football Group kind of thing. It's a separate thing, and it's something for Mark really that will sit separate from the day-to-day at county. It certainly won't affect my job in the slightest.
Yeah, I really enjoy his outlook of when he was. I think it was a Darren McAntony interview where he basically said how exhausting it was, like owning a football club and the money that he spent, and then a few weeks later, he's like, "Yeah, well, I will buy another one." But looking at the Champions League prize money and that sort of thing, going on Football Manager and looking at the Champions League prize money, you're looking at 15 to 20 million, for which, considering the investment he'll be making, that's a pretty quick return if they can pull that off.
Yeah, and they're well in the mix for it as well, aren't they? I think they're only a couple of points off.
Yeah.
They played top of the league the other week. They were 2-0 up and had 2 penalties given against them to draw 2-2. If they'd have won that, they'd have been a point up top. So they're in and around it. I guess it's a little bit like when Mark took over here, it was in January, and then COVID hit. He didn't have a lot of time to impact that actual season. So I think for Mark, it's more like getting into the summer, getting a proper recruitment strategy going, and they'll obviously hopefully kick on from there. But yeah, you're right. If you get into the Champions League, if you get through the qualifiers, then there's a lot of money to bring back, even if you end up in the Europa League group stages. I think Robbie Keane's team haven't they, this season? So there's definitely money to make there from a European point of view. It's huge for the money that Mark would be investing in Hungary.
Should we have a sweepstake on who's going to be the first county fan on Twitter to put them in their bio? Stockport County and Debrecen. Stockport County, Glasgow Rangers, and Debrecen. That's coming next. So excited! So excited. It won't. I don't think it'll be long because we're already getting people like updating on their results like every weekend. People will be popping up saying, "Oh, they're winning 1-0." It's already become this whole big thing. I think we should go full multi-club and just make them wear our shirts and everything. In fact, they can have Stockport Towns after their
Yeah. It'd be nice to see some Hungarians doing the same though and putting us in their bio as well. So
yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah, we need to broaden it. I did see a lot of Portuguese people in the Cheadland yesterday. There was a group of about 20 of them. Like, just we're the place to be now. It's very exciting. And talking of being the place
the
to
end
be,
of the match at the bottom.
no, I was on my way out. I had to
So
go and have
I've
a
got a
kip.
bit of a delay, but the Portuguese there was loads of them singing and dancing, jumping around if you just picture a European ultras away end.
Oh, was that them?
The Cheadland yesterday for the last 10 minutes. Yeah, but I think it must have been, yeah, because they were.
I did notice the stewards getting a bit worried, thinking, "Hang on, we don't normally have this. They don't normally move about down here. What's going on?"
And the problem is, if they watch the game, they won't be in a rush to come back, will they? So,
oh no. Well, that's it. That's it. Keep it organic. It's fine. So, in terms of the big news, so we had finished. I think I meant to dig out the clip actually of me saying back in December that I felt we needed one of the best windows any team has ever had. Dave, how close do you think we came to getting that best window? No notes from me whatsoever, really.
No, I think it's certainly the best window that we've had since Stock came in. I can't think of a better window that we've had. You know, since we've been promoted every time, the recruitment's been good. The summer recruitment's always been good, but this time, you know what you need. You've seen what your squad's like. And I think every position that we needed to strengthen them, we did in card yesterday. I think Dacres Cogley's been absolutely unbelievable. As they all have Josh Stokes. I won't go through them all, but yeah, I think everybody's really, really good. Sidibe's unknown at the moment. He's definitely fast and scary for the defenders. But yeah, it's really exciting times at the minute.
Yeah, very good window. I genuinely had often when a window closes, you'll have this sort of, oh well, it would have been nice if we'd got at least player X or player Y or filled in this position. And there's maybe an argument for. But it's been an argument for a while that it'd be nice to have a ball winner in midfield as an option, but we've kind of moved away from that and had a lot of success moving away from that since Ryan Crowsdale's left. We've had no one doing that since, and we've done all right. So I think I just need to come to terms with the fact it's modern football and not Football Manager. So I think it's definitely a me problem. So in terms of already a good week, we had more news about the whole Hungarian link-up, which was something we were kind of. People were hanging on for. Very good end to the window. And then, of course, probably weirdly the most exciting of any of these bits of news is the whole Tracey Neville thing. Because I've had people who don't even follow football like mentioning it to me. Like, this has gone beyond sport. This has, because she's such a recognisable name. All the stuff she's done, big name and what have you. How long has this been in the works, Liam? Is it something? I know. I think Matt Stock mentioned a while back he kind of wanted to scale up the support of the women's team, as we'll call them now, thankfully, because I've always calling them county ladies always gave me the ick. Don't know why.
Old-fashioned, isn't it? It's a bit old-fashioned.
Yeah,
the lady's name. But yeah, in terms of Tracey, she actually came to an event, a Vitality event at Edgeley Park a couple of months ago with Lewis Bate and Gabby Logan as well. And I think from that day, I think we were quite impressed with her. I think she was quite impressed with the club and the setup there. And the conversation kind of carried on over from that. In terms of the women's team, I think it's always been the plan to get to this point at some point. I think when Mark came in, that was part of the plan, but it was a case of getting our own house in order, I suppose, to a certain extent, to then be able to bring them on board properly as part of the journey as well. And I guess her appointment, just like you say, it's an ambitious one, and it adds a lot of, I suppose, validity to the launch of the women itself. She's obviously not had that maybe experience in football before, but she's an elite operator in terms of women's sport, elite women's sport. So I've been really impressed with the conversations I've had with her so far. She's done a lot of media this week. There's been a lot of interest because, as like you say, her name carries a lot of weight. So yeah, it's exciting time for the women's team. Yeah,
and just having a name like that in terms of recruitment, I mean, because they do a good job with the recruitment from what I can see already, and just having a name like that attached to the club must make such a difference. Because the plan clearly is to make the women's team into a national force. It seems. Yeah,
the target is to hopefully get them into the WSL eventually, and to do that in the next 5 years. So, I guess first of all, just a word for the volunteers that have ran the ladies for so long and done a really good job of getting them competitive. In the fourth tier, where there's a lot of big clubs in there that are spending a lot of money in comparison to what County was spending. The manager's done a really good job. I think they're fourth in the league this season. But this just allows us to turbocharge that, I suppose, and give them the investment that they deserve. It's tough at that level because there's one automatic promotion place and no playoffs, so you either win the league or you don't go up. So it's difficult. So hopefully this allows them to take that next step and grow and properly invest in not just the recruitment side but the facilities as well, which obviously plays a part in terms of purchasing Stockport Sports Village.
Yeah. Well, that brings us on nicely then. So a certain amount of opposition I've noticed, as there always is with these things, and it does seem to be a minority. Just what is the nature of the complaints? Because I got so far into like reading what people were saying, and it just all blended into one. You know, when you're just looking at these words and you're not sure that they exist as words anymore. It just all seemed to be people shouting into the void. So what is the gist of it?
I think it's twofold. There's the element of grassroots football teams and making sure that they have enough access to the pitches, which we're committed to continue to do. We mentioned that in the statement. That won't change. And obviously in the long term, the plan is for them to have better facilities, more pitches, so more opportunities in the long run. I guess the most pushback has come from the fact that the Life Leisure gym in there at some point will close to the public. So there's obviously, I think, 2,000 to 3,000 gym members there that are understandably, disappointed, upset. It will cause some disruption for them. But I just think in terms of the plan to have that as a community hub, a community asset that will be operated by the club, I think the benefits in the long run will massively outweigh the negatives.
Yeah, I mean, I could see some, like you say, people losing access to their gym and what have you. Fair enough, but it's when these people are, as part of their argument, they're saying, "Oh well, they say it's a community thing, but it's not. It's just for that." Well, just look at everything that's been done in the 6 years. Everything community based has been delivered, like beyond the level to which it was promised. So I don't see why I wouldn't be the same here.
I think everything Mark said since he's come into the club, he's continued to deliver on. And I know that as much as he wanted to invest in a football club and take them on a journey, just as big a part of that was the club being a community vehicle and using the club to be able to impact the town and impact the community. So there's no reason to doubt that will be the case. And having a site like that, as I say, there'll be a lot of investment in terms of the facilities. There'll be a lot of investment. Is Dave gone? Yeah. There'll be a lot of investment going forward that people will just continue to benefit from.
Yeah, it's really good, like really exciting. I mean, I think this is the stuff, as much as we've had exciting signings over the years and everything else that comes with it, this is the stuff that really, really excites me in terms of like infrastructure and all that sort of thing, the community stuff. And it's like, you do get to the point sometimes you'll think, oh, it's been a while since we heard anything about X, Y, Z, and then you just get info on everything and it's all cleared up straight away. So yeah, it's really, really good to see that. Really good. So I'm assuming is the plan for it to be academy and women's teams there, or is everything going to be there and the dome added and stuff?
Everything except the first team. So the academy will continue to operate there, and the plan is that will enable us to apply for Category 2 status, which will be a big step forward for the academy. We do need an indoor dome facility that will be built on that site. The ladies will continue to play there. Stockport Town will continue to play there, which I think is part of a reason why they changed colours in the summer, because ultimately the site itself will be rebranded blue to fit in with that. And then the football education as well, which is another one of Mark's big passions. I think we have 250 students there currently. That'll expand up to 500. And that's been really successful, I suppose, in providing that young local people with a pathway into higher education and university.
Amazing. I'm really excited to keep hearing more about that. That's ace. What we should do is get on to the small matter of yesterday's game and what's coming up on Tuesday. But given it's pretty much the half-time point of the show, then we should hit you with a random county non-league goal of the week, as sourced by Chris Eaton. And it's, well, I should probably download it first, shouldn't I? That'd be a start. Is that it? What date are we on? No. Anyway, we'll start on Orient. We'll do it in a minute while I find it, because I was convinced I had the video, but it turns out that I don't. So, Dave, yesterday, Orient, first thoughts, go.
Cool. What an anticlimax it was, for the great week that we've just had, that we've just been speaking about, to when you take into account their away form or their form in general, the fall off from last year, our recent form. It was nothing else but a 4-0 win for me as I got to Edgeley Park yesterday. The Chinese Dragons were dancing up and down Hardcastle Road. It was an amazing place to be. And then the football started, and it quickly became a poor Saturday. I just don't think anybody played particularly well. I'll say Ben Hinsliff, Ethan Pye second half definitely did play well, and Lewis Bate when he came on, and Stokes. But for the most part, the starting 11 not very good, just not at the races. I think the success that we've had in recent weeks with the high press, with keeping the ball, playing actual football, just all went out the window. What's interesting to me is, like for me, Dave Challoner won us the game against Plymouth with the changes he made. When we don't win a game of football, you see people say how much he's lost us the game. And no, he's not telling Ollie Norwood to miss 30 passes. And I'm not slagging Norwood off. He's been amazing all season. Everyone's had an off day. And yesterday, everyone did have an off day.
What I will say, though, compared to when we were all getting our knickers in a twist pre-Christmas with some of the performances, there were players you could pick out as having been actually torrid and awful in any given game. There'd be one or two players where you could say he was absolutely awful today. We've managed to get away from that. It does feel like there's been ample progress in, and not just in terms of bringing new players in. Obviously, the players we've brought in fit the way we want to play, but we just seem to be going closer to being a Dave Challoner team. We seem to have gone a lot closer to his approach again. Because there were points in November, December where I looked back at like some of his first few games, like the Bolton one is the Bolton 5-3 in the cup is the main one to pick up. But you look at how we play in that game, and then same winning the League Two title, there were performances like that in there, and it just felt as though we'd got away from it. And I'll be honest, there were points where I was starting to worry. I was starting to think, oh God, have we lost something here? Have we just like completely hit a wall? But credit to everyone, we've acted quickly and decisively in the window. Clearly been working hard on getting back to being ourselves, and it does feel. After having said that, I don't see where that run is coming from. It does genuinely feel like any day now that run's going to start. Would you say that's fair from your vantage point, Liam? Because you're higher up as well. You're higher up with that FIFA style view.
Yeah, I think Dave talks a lot about identity and being a aggressive, high pressing front foot team. But he's also he has been big on the last couple of summers about trying to evolve that and being better in possession and kind of, as I say, evolving the team. I think sometimes when we try and do that, we maybe move too far away from the basic principles of kind of what makes us good. I know after the Reading game, they kind of had a conversation with different parts of the team. They spoke to the defenders, then the midfielders, the attackers, went through like previous footage of us at our best, essentially. Just to, I guess, provide positive memories for those players that have already been here and have been part of that, and just reminding them of what made us so good. And for the newer lads, maybe just an education point of view. And it feels like we've taken a big step back towards where being that kind of team. The recruitment's obviously helped. I think Josh Stokes is very much a Will Collar type profile of player, but obviously with slightly better quality on the ball and in terms of his goal scoring. Josh Dacres-Cogley, again, very much a Dave Challoner player, up up and down the flank. Well, he's been, as you said, Dave, really impressive. Probably the most impressive signing of the lot so far. And then you've got obviously Tanto Adama up front just to provide that pace, which we did miss in the first half of the season. There's no getting away from that. So yeah, I think we've gone a long way to recapturing that identity. Saturday was obviously a frustrating one. It's been a weird fixture, really. I think we've played them 8 times since getting promoted back to the Football League, and there's not been a home win in any of those games.
No,
we've always done well there. They've always done well here. They had a good deadline day themselves. They brought in 5 players. 4 of them started on Saturday, and that made a bit of a difference to them. I guess the frustration was, I think Dave made those changes on the hour. We kind of started turning the screw a little bit, and then the red card killed that any kind of momentum, really, didn't it? From there,
well, prior to our red card, there was. I mean, it says it all about the quality of football on show that this is the main talking point that's coming from it. But of course, everyone's favourite new time wasting tactic is, of course, the goalkeeper going down. So I posted a picture of it on Twitter from our account and got Leighton Orient fans commenting saying, "Hey, your keeper did it as well." So yes, but it's cleared up in the interview why our keeper did it. It wasn't me having a go at Orient. It's the fact that it's become a loophole. Like with any loophole in football, some dickheads will ruin it. Some little grasses will just go and take a little loophole and find it. Liam, what is the answer? How do we stop this?
I don't know. It's at every level of the game, isn't it? You see it in the Premier League, it's down to non-league. It is. I felt a bit for John and Sam on commentary because they were absolutely obviously caning Leighton Orient when they did it, and then Ben goes down, and I think John goes, "Oh well, I think he is actually injured." Yeah, no. It's one of those things. I think it's Dave said we wouldn't have done it if they hadn't have done it, and I don't think we have done it before prior to Saturday. Nope. In fairness, it's not something that Dave agrees with. What's the solution? I don't know. I've seen some good suggestions. If the keeper goes down, your captain has to leave the pitch, but then the club start just making the keeper the captain to try and get around that.
That's it, yeah.
Do you book players if they do go over to the touchline and you just say it's not allowed? I don't know, but obviously something needs to be done because it kills the game, doesn't it? And it's at every level, it's every week. What do you do about it? I don't know. It's one for the FA and the EFL to try and deal with, but something's got to be done because it just ruins the spectacle of the game. I mean, the Saturday one was so blatant. You could see their defender just telling the goalkeeper, sit down. It's what do you do? What do you do? I wish I had the answer.
The best suggestion, I'll say the best suggestion I've seen, but let's be honest, a loophole will be found instantly, and that'll be gone. That idea will be gone as well. Is basically going primary school rules and just make everyone sit in the centre circle with like their fingers on their lips. That's like just like turn them into infants. Just make them feel like children. Either that, or the keeper has to play with giant foam fingers on for like 10 minutes after. Like either or both. I'm completely fine with either. Just sorted.
I think people do it for doing its sake now as well, because I don't understand the need for it. If we have to change our formation in game, which we do very frequently, Dave's got them very well coached. You tell them and they do it. It doesn't need a team talk. You don't need to drag everyone over. Do you really need to do that? You've managed fine before this became a thing. I do think people just do it for doing sake. If there's a change in tactics, right? Okay, let's get everyone over. It's like you say, it's endemic in the game, but maybe you just stick a fly keeper in there. The keeper has to go off, and one of your outfield players has to play for 2 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, because everyone loves that. Everyone loves an outfield player in goal. Everyone loves a goalkeeper taking a throw in. So I don't know why Sky Sports cut away from it as it was happening in stoppage time of the game earlier. Absolutely livid. It's one of these. There's all these little things that are creeping in. So I'm sure I'll get plenty of this from you in the coming weeks and months, Dave. Now that you're a manager of a kids football team, you'll be providing me with all this content. So another mate of mine, his son has just started playing under-8s football. And he scored on his debut and ran to the corner and did the whole hands in the air, like gesturing up to heaven. And he's like, "You don't have any dead relatives. What are you doing?" And it's because they've seen it on telly. It blows my mind. What are they doing? And he says like when they're talking at half time, they'll have their hands over their mouths like they do at match. It's like, oh, you losers! God, I don't like it. Game's gone.
Going back to this big stoppage yesterday. Look, I feel sorry for the ref in that situation because they've got no control over it. They still get the grief. My solution is you give a corner, people will stop doing it. But one thing that the ref did have control over yesterday, and it really, really pissed me off. There's a stoppage, 7-8 minutes, however long it was. He then allowed them to make a sub of an outfield player right at the end of the stoppage. And what are you doing? They've just had all that time to make it. If they've not made it, you've just got to get on with the game and make them wait.
Yeah.
Like, that's just riling everybody up for the wrong reasons. But I always said, we all hate it, but as soon as Ben does it, everyone will love it. And
of course.
Here we are. Everyone loves it. But it's just, it's the worst thing that's happened at football in recent years. It's happening, like I say, everywhere. Someone in the last man standing group went to watch a Sunday League game this morning at Stockport Town that play there, and it happened in that game. It's like, come on, just sort it out.
Absolutely embarrassing. Hate it. But I almost file it alongside. Like teams that are scrabbling around in the last hour of the transfer window. Oh, but by the way, we've got a question about that in a second. Teams that are scrabbling around in the last seconds of the transfer window trying to sign players. That suggests to me that you've messed up somewhere if you still... And it's the same with having to get your whole team together 15, 20 minutes into a game. It's like, well, you're not doing your job. If you're having to get every single player over to you to relay instructions and you've not done a good job of it before the game. And that, really showed yesterday, I think. On that little little window question... How close was Jack Diamond to leaving, do we think? Do we think if the bid had come in earlier of over $1 million, then we'd had time to get a replacement, he'd have gone or not?
I'm not so sure. I think... Well, I agree with you. I actually said the same thing to Simon on the day, Nick, just about clubs that are scrambling around on deadline day, bidding for players who, up until the day, they've shown no interest in whatsoever. Suggests that something's gone wrong in your recruitment over the course of the window. But every player's got the value. If someone comes in with an offer that you think is way above someone's market value, then you consider it. I don't think any offer that County received would have been near that valuation for Jack. So close, I don't think so. You're obviously you're hanging around Carrington all day just in case something happens, but I don't think that was ever one that was gonna come through on the day. You know, it'd be tough to do. We've had a really good window. If Jack wins you 2 games over between now and the end of the season, that can be the difference between promotion and not. You know, the 2 games prior to that, he scores what was essentially the winner at Blackpool and sets up what's for the winner against Plymouth. So if he does that in 2 more games this season, that's worth more than, you know, £1 million or whatever you'd get in the transfer market.
That's it. He is frustratingly inconsistent, but at the same time, he does have those qualities that will, as you say, it's. As I said earlier in the season, it's like Louis Barry's skill set. Not quite the same quality, but there's no one else who can do what he does. So when he's on fire, he is going to win us points, and he will make a difference in the season. Can we assume that the Kyle Wootton bid was bollocks?
Oh yeah, complete nonsense.
That would have been insane.
Yeah, no, there's nothing in that at all.
No, I mean, I'm happy about that, but also at the same time, what the fuck are you thinking, Blackburn? Why do you not want Kyle Wootton? Why would anyone not want Kyle Wootton?
I mean, they just sacked the manager on a day, so I think they had bigger things to worry about, in fairness.
Yeah, you'd expect so, wouldn't you? Yeah. Dave Challoner at 6-1 for that at one point, I noticed, and then crept down to around 12s, 14s now. So it's all. I do love the little scare everyone gets. Like, it'll pop in the water. Oh, he's 6-1, and people will start talking about who they'd want next. And then
on BetVictor, the really reliable bookmakers, because they're the only ones who have the odds of these clubs getting new managers. Just going back to what you just said, you mentioned you're at Carrington all day, as you would be on deadline day. Not so much to do this year, but in January last year, I think Cosgrove came in, Moxon came in. What does as the media guy, your transfer deadline day look like? You get up in the morning, you get to Carrington, what are you doing?
I mean, we had Brad Hills that day as well, so...
Oh, yeah.
It's mainly a communication one, I guess, just in terms of making sure that we're chatting to the recruitment team and we have enough kind of lead time to plan something. But it's very reactive. It's very reactive, and I spoke about what we did this transfer window in terms of a lot of effort and finances going into the reveals and things like that. You can't do any of that on deadline day. You've got to just be reactive, come up with little teasers. I think we had a little bit early for bedtime one for Sam Cosgrove with Charlie and stuff like that. It is very much a case of doing little bits on deadline day, I suppose, just to give you something to whip you all into a frenzy. But yeah, that was a busy deadline day, and it's just about turning around content as quickly as possible because you've got to write a press release, you've got to get in touch with the club to organise when you're going to announce it, you've got to film an interview and all that kind of stuff. So I think that one with Mox obviously being the latest one, I think we were there until gone midnight, really, just in terms of after we'd got everything out there and announced. It's pretty hectic.
In terms of nope, it's gone. That was a really important transfer window related question then. No, it'll come back to me later, and it'll turn out not to have been important. Do we have? I don't think there's anything else to cover from yesterday, is there? Any other big event? Obviously, in terms of clear-cut chances, basically nothing. Couple of scrambled efforts, I'd say that they had. It wasn't a case of clear-cut chances. It was a bit of mayhem in the box. Ben came up big a couple of times, but other than that, it was a. But it wasn't one of them where I came home thinking, "Oh, that was a waste of 90 minutes." It was actually quite an enjoyable game for the neutral thing. I think mainly because of the time wasting drama. I think anything like that sort of elevates it, don't you think, Dave?
I feel opposite about yesterday. I very rarely sit and look at flash scores all day, looking at the results of everywhere else. But yesterday, I wasn't interested in the game for parts of it. It was just. I think it was boring because it was so stop-start. I couldn't get invested into it. And I saw on the best Facebook group in the world, of course, people moaning about people leaving 10 minutes early again. I wasn't one of those people. I stayed to the end. But why do people care? If people, it's Leyton Orient anyway. You've got to leave it at Leyton Orient. I'm just surprised Shannon didn't have another go at them in the interview. But no, I don't think there was anything to note yesterday. But even the Ollie Norwood free kick, I only saw it hit the bar because why would you shoot from there? I know he scored from similar range at Tranmere. It was Tranmere, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't even see that get taken. I saw someone say that was a big chance. It wasn't even a chance.
Nope. Denied.
It's like 0.01 XG, wasn't it? But
yeah.
I think that was the big disappointment. I think they've got a keeper making his debut in goal, and you've not really tested him for over the course of 90 minutes. I think it was 2 shots on target. One of them was the Carl Wotton header in the second half, and I can't remember what the other one was. To be honest with you, that was the disappointment. And I think as well. I think after half an hour, you're looking at scores elsewhere, and Lincoln are losing at Plymouth and Cardiff are 0-0, but down at 10 men, and you're thinking, right, okay, this could be a good day for us. And then Lincoln win 4-1 and Cardiff win 3-0. So, not a great day all round. But I think the manager's way of looking at it is probably the best because you can tie yourself in knots worrying about what other teams are doing and looking at what they're doing. Obviously, Lincoln are 13 games unbeaten, and it can be difficult from a fan point of view because it feels like you've got to win every week just to keep pace at the minute.
Yeah.
From the manager's point of view, the coaching staff, the club, they have a points target in mind that they want to try and hit, which is slightly more than what we got last year. Historically, it's a target that is good enough to get you automatics. And with that in mind, you just focus on yourself and what you do to be able to hit that points target. And if you get there and it's not enough because Lincoln have continued to do what they're doing, then you consider yourself unlucky, and it's a fair play to them and dust yourselves down for the playoffs. But I think from a coaching and playing point of view, it's very much just focusing on what we're doing. You'd probably look at Leyton Orient at home, Bradford away, and say 4 points is a good return. So if you go and win at Bradford next week, then you're still on track to where you want to get to.
In terms of, obviously, you spend a lot of time around not just players but staff as well. Did the mood sort of drop at any point in the last couple of months when we were struggling a bit? And has there been a noticeable change recently? Now we've sort of got things how we want them.
I wouldn't, not a drop. I wouldn't say a drop because I think the players are pretty good at keeping level-headed. You know, there's a lot of experience in there. Players like Ollie Norwood and Ben Osborne that kind of been in this situation before.
Yeah.
And I think from a player's point of view, whenever you speak to a player, they've always got in mind when you're going through a bad run, there's still 30 games left, 20 games left. There's no panic.
I think how Morecambe must feel.
Yeah, well, yeah. Is the manager
Well, in the country then?
Is the manager a little bit grumpy sometimes when you're in a bad run? Yeah, of course he is. But that's going to be the same everywhere down the country. Yeah. He's pretty grumpy when we're on a good run. To be fair, that's
yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah.
For the course, but I think the only noticeable difference, and you can tell things have been going well lately, is that he's started agreeing with some of mine and John's questions post match, which is a rarity indeed. So, yeah.
It only got pointed out the other week, but I can't. I've had to stop watching his interviews because I can't unsee it now. Him answering a question with a question. His whole.
And Liam just
like
did it.
more
You
players
did a great
available?
impression of him while you were talking about him.
I did actually, yeah. I think,
is he good when we're losing? Yeah, of course he is. And it was like, oh my god, this is perfect.
Yeah, I've not actually spoken to him about that, but I'm pretty sure that's come from when he did his coaching qualification recently, and I think there was some media training involved in there because he didn't do it in the first couple of years he was here. He didn't do that. It's been a more like last 12 months kind of thing where he started to do that. So if he doesn't like mine and John's question, he'll just ask what he wants to be asked and answer it himself. Fair enough.
What else he does?
Well,
you'll never unsee this on a pre-match on a Friday. When he's sat down, he'll tense his left pec. Right, when he's talking.
Deviant.
It got pointed out by, I'm going to say who it was, Classic County off Twitter. He pointed it out. So, yeah, keep an eye on it next time.
Oh, great. Thanks. Oh, that's going in the episode title, just so I remember. Excellent. I never even noticed that. Part of me just wants to wrap this up now so I can go. But we can't wrap anything up without talking Port Vale. But first, I'll furnish you with the Random County non-league goal of the week, courtesy of Chris Eaton. And it's, this is going to be right up your street, Dave. You're going to love this one. We picked this especially for you, mate, with it being your first full-time show. Here it is.
For a goal kick to the Bees, who lead by a 0-0, just over 5.5 minutes to play in this first half. Palmer has come off the top of his head and gone backwards, but Hogan's there to the rescue. Hogan again, nods it clear, helped on by Crowsdale. Sarcevic, lovely ball, lofts it into space. What a pass from Sarcevic for Crankshaw! Oh my word! What a goal from Stockport County, created by the new boy Anthony Sarcevic with a brilliant ball out to the wing. Crankshaw sprinting onto it. The first bit of quality we've seen for 20 minutes from Stockport County, and Crankshaw buries that opportunity. What a goal from Ollie Crankshaw. The fans are watching it again on the big screen as he whips it into the top corner. County are level at 1-1.
Well, that was an interesting night for everyone concerned. So, from your perspective, Liam, because obviously it's the professionalism of yourself and John and Sam knows no bounds. I mean, you played better than any of your equivalents that we saw, particularly during lockdown and stuff. But in terms of when you're in the press box and you just know this is the end of a manager, when you can, because obviously you're seeing other stuff that's going on, so you can form your opinions based on that. It's not just based on what's on the pitch. What is that like, still having to commentate, sort of knowing what's coming? It was such a vibe shift, like listening to the commentary of that live at the time. It just actually thinking for weeks, like, he must be on his way out soon, and then thinking, oh no, I must be imagining this, and then hearing yourselves on the commentary thinking, oh right, it's not just me spotting this.
Yeah, it's tough, and I think it was kind of a learning curve for me as well, because I think at times you can maybe try and find the positives too much, and sometimes I think Sam's very good at calling a spade at times, which is probably easier for him because he's obviously external. But I think you've always got to I suppose from my point of view, find the balance, because I think Louis was actually asking me about it last week, because he's been listening to a lot of the commentaries, and he was like, if a player goes through and misses a sitter, how do you play that? Because you can't cane them, because you've then got to go into work the next day and say, you're okay. So that was a tough time. I think that game in particular, we knew that the next day Simon would be gone. I think post match, we did do an interview with him, but I think John, we knew it wouldn't get used. Essentially,
does that still exist somewhere? You should release it on vinyl for Record Store Day. I think
Dan Powell might have it somewhere in his records, but it's tough. It's tough because I think John had it worse really when under Jim, when John was on the board of directors, and then interviewing after the game. That's a really difficult kind of, I suppose, professional position to be in for him. From my point of view with Simon, I think, like you say, towards the end, you knew it was coming. You knew it wasn't going to probably work out in the long run. Difficult to kind of, I suppose, play that balance, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, we're just going to gloss over the fact that you're purposely using Ollie Crankshaw goal, and I'm not going to get a right to reply. Is that how we're going to do this? Where's he? Still in the National League where he belongs. He's absolutely crap. Ollie Wankshaw is what we call him in this house. So yeah,
well, all of you.
That he scored against Barnet really could have been.
All of you call him Ollie Wankshaw, do you? All of you in the house.
Ethan's first word, yeah.
All five of you just wandering around laughing to yourself, saying Ollie Wankshaw. Oh, I hope you're proud of yourself. You've got we're giving people like you a platform. It's absolutely sickening. On to the thrilling denouement that's coming closer of the Virtue Trophy, BDSM, Pizza, Autoglass, Johnston's Paint, whatever else you want to add to it. Liam, your thoughts personally on this? Are you getting to the point now where you're getting you're actually excited at the prospect of getting to go to Wembley and have it not matter that much?
I'm not sure excited is the right word. I think it's just the nature of the competition, isn't it? I think you almost stumble your way through the first couple of rounds. You play academy kids and maybe fringe players, and that's what County have done. Penalties at Crewe, a last minute winner against Harrogate. They've stumbled their way into the quarter final. I guess now, you're 2 games away from Wembley. You are like, well, you may as well have a bit of a crack at it, I suppose. And I think that's where the coaching staff are at with it. I mean, Ben was speaking to John off camera on Saturday, and from his point of view, you don't get many opportunities to play at Wembley as a player. A lot of players will finish their career without that on the CV. So from a player point of view, I think it's something that you want to take seriously. From Tuesday's point of view, I'm more excited because you may see Lewis Bates start as the manager's talked about, or you may see other players that maybe haven't had a look in that'll get an opportunity, Roman Dixon, something like that. So it's the game's probably fallen at a good time for us because we've got players coming back from injury, a lot of players that need minutes. So it's a good opportunity to make changes, but still name quite a strong side.
Because I think we had you on with me and Hannah about a year back, Liam, and it was just after we'd been knocked out, and you mentioned that Charlie was a bit miffed because these players knocking on his door for game time aren't going to be getting it now because
exactly.
So I mean, I think a couple of months ago when everyone seems to be injured, we'd be bemoaning having another game. But now, like you said, it's an opportunity. And I think I don't want to come across as some Autoglass revisionist here, but the crowds have always been low early on. It's not until you get to like the quarters and semis where the crowds start picking up a bit. So we can't blame that on the under-21 teams. That said, yes, they shouldn't be in there, and it has devalued. We know that. But yeah, would you go, Dave? If it was Wembley in a cup final, do you reckon you'd go?
Yeah, if we think about it now, let's say we get to the Championship next season, and we've gone up automatically, or however we go up. When you're next going to go to Wembley?
Yeah,
probably not going to be in the playoffs for a few years. Probably not going to get to the final of the League Cup or the FA Cup semi-final of the FA Cup. So, when would you next go? Plus, stop look out at Wembley. It reminds me when we were back in the FA Trophy. We were in the semi-final, and you had people on Twitter who couldn't wait to tell you that if we got to Wembley, I'm not going.
great, good for you. So, yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there with bells on.
I think as well.
I probably won't leave Wealdstone this time, though. I'll probably just stay there this time.
Yeah.
It's a competition we've never won, and I think the big reason is, Steve Bellis wants another trophy tour. So, let's do it for Steve. And the
doesn't know what to do with himself.
Yeah, that's it. He had a terrible summer. And it can be a nice springboard as well. If you go there and win the competition, you've had a positive experience at Wembley, and if you end up having to go back there in the playoffs, then that's a good thing psychologically to have, I suppose, under your belt.
And on the psychological front, who else is in it? Huddersfield are still in, aren't they?
Huddersfield, Doncaster, Plymouth, Luton, Wimbledon, and Northampton.
And not
so
Swindon.
there's teams there we could be coming up against in the playoffs. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it'd be nice to have that psychological boost. And then even, if we do end up going to another playoff final, if we don't sneak automatics and then end up in the playoffs, then having that experience of potentially losing a Wembley final a couple of months before can only help, surely.
It can motivate. It happened with Dave, I think, when he was at Fylde. They got to the playoff final in the National League. They lost to Salford, went back there, I think, a week or two later for the FA Trophy final against Leyton Orient, who'd won the league, and they won. They won 1-0. So you can swing it both ways. You have a positive experience, great, that'll help you psychologically. But if you lose, you use it to fuel you for the next trip, don't you?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly
on the
it.
subject of players needing a chance to get some minutes and all that, I'm confused about Malik Mothersill at the moment because he played against Reading. For me, he was really good that game. Obviously, had a bit of a spat when he came off. Then we didn't see him again in the league until Plymouth, where when he came off the bench, I thought it was the first time that he really, really looked up for it. Was really good. And then yesterday, I felt that he was, he would have come on and changed the game. And knowing, because my brother was a linesman on Wednesday at Carrington, knowing that he scored 2 against Salford Youth on Wednesday, just put him in. But I'm sure you probably can't answer this if there is one, but it just feels from the outside that there's that Reading argument that they had on the pitch may have gone a little bit further. And yeah, that's why I might be happy, because how's he going to get momentum now when he's playing well if he doesn't get another game for 3 weeks?
Yeah, and this is why games like Tuesday are really important for players like Mal to come in and show what he can do between now and the end of the season. I think, he'd admit himself it's not gone how he'd envisaged it so far. I think some of the criticism on him is a little bit over the top for me. I think you can say that he's not been good enough with that those kind of comments are said about Owen Moxon, Owen Dodson, other players as well. But I think the question marks about his attitude and whether he wants it or not, I think are probably over the top. I think his data's actually, in terms of his pressing, is actually towards the top end of the team. He can look quite languid at times in how he does it, in terms of how he moves. I remember similar conversations about Sars when in his first 6-12 months here when we were in League Two about, and it's just the way he moves. But I think he is up for it. I think the fact that he got quite irate when he was took off at Reading is a sign that he cares. Yeah, you don't want players to be happy at being subbed off, do you? That's the last thing you want. I don't think it went any further than that. Beyond that, I think Mal's just at a point where he's got to be a little bit patient. But you rewind 12 months. Jack Diamond was in a very similar position where wasn't getting a lot of game time, and I guess the penny dropped for him a little bit in terms of it's just that, I suppose, reaction when you lose the ball and getting ready to counter press, that kind of thing. And sometimes that takes a little bit of time for players to learn, and it's the minimum for playing in a Dave Challoner team. So Mal's got a lot of ability. He's not been able to show it yet, but I'm confident that he'll be able to in the future. In the short term, like you say, it's just about working hard and showing what you can do when you get the opportunities. I thought he was really good when he came off the bench on against Plymouth, as you said. And like I say, I imagine he'll get another opportunity on Tuesday to show what he can do.
One stick I don't like him being beaten with is always our record signing. It's like, well, he didn't create this price tag, did he?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's been challenging for him as well. He's a young. I know it gets used, but he's a young lad. He's moved up north, away from his family. He's just had a baby. He's 21, 22. It's a big change for him, and I think Tanto had something similar when he came here. And I think the first six months he scored 3 goals, and people were saying, "Well, Tanto's not really good enough," but he settled in and scored 20 league goals the year after. So give him a bit of time is all I say regarding Malik.
I think people forget just that it took Louis Barry a few games to get going and whatever. And he was actually playing a full... Well, he's playing like 60, 70 minutes in most of them games. Mothersill's not really been getting that. So, it's certainly gonna take time. I'm sort of fascinated by this relationship we have as a fan base with more languid players. I've never been I've always hated this whole with West Ham fans, the amount of good managers they've forced out because they're obsessed with this West Ham way and stuff like that. And I feel like clubs do sort of like United fans always go on about the United DNA, but if they want to go back to what it was under Ferguson, they want to play 4-4-2 with wingers, which is going to get them done over against anyone half decent. So it doesn't but it just feels like it was the same with Nick Powell. Nick Powell has a very languid style, and I mean, I think there were other reasons to possibly write off Nick Powell before he played for us. But in terms of having that languid style, I mean, slightly before our time, but Big Kev, he had the same thing when he started. I think people just struggle to... I don't know if it's a working class thing or some sort of socio-economic thing or what it is, but there's just something we can't seem to get on with languid players. It's weird, and that's Mothersill seems to be one who's been falling victim to that. But that's a whole different debate. There's there's an undercurrent to which players get described as lazy that makes me very uncomfortable. That I'm definitely not going into. Yeah, but I think we all know what it is. I think we all know it exists. But I think there's going to be, now that we are performing well and we've recruited in those positions we needed to, you'll hope that the pressure will be off Mothersill a bit more now, and he can concentrate on getting back into the team and just concentrating on his football. Now he's hopefully settling in more. So you'd hope it's one of those things that will improve as it goes on. And yeah, like I said, the pressure should surely be off him a bit more now. Now that we're not all saying what it is that we're missing and knowing we've got a player who can offer that, it's like he can just make his way back into the team. And for all we know, there'll be players on Tuesday night who will quite easily make themselves undroppable for Bradford away in a week's time.
Yeah, exactly that. I think it can be quite easy to mistake languid for lazy.
Yeah,
and I think I get it, because fans will want to see someone like Adama who's coming in and will just chase and chase and chase. But even from Adama's point of view, you've got to channel that in the right way, because you can chase down a lost cause and it ends up being a lost cause, and then you're out of position and that kind of thing. You've got to channel it in the right way. So. I don't think anyone within the club is writing Mal off. I don't think there was, I know there was talk about maybe moving on in January. That wasn't a thing either, really. So,
no.
Just give him time to find his feet.
Yeah, that's it. Talking of finding feet, a player who sort of had a good start to his career with us, albeit as a super sub, hasn't really kicked on so far in the way we want. I think partly due to not really playing a system that suits him. But Fevrier off to Charlton, which I think one of the big surprises. Is that still with a view to reintegrating him back here, or do we think it's sort of going down the road towards him leaving permanently?
I guess in the summer you have a decision to make, because he'll have 12 months left on his deal. So I guess that there's a decision to be made there. You either try and get him tied down to a new deal, or if that's not going to happen, then maybe you look to do something and try and make a profit out of it. I don't know. I'm not Simon Wilson, but that is a conversation that obviously will need to be had. It's a great opportunity for Fevs move back closer to home and play at a higher level. Look, we all want him to go there and be a success and do well, and we'll either benefit from a better player back here next season, or you benefit from, as I say, potentially making a profit in the transfer market.
Yeah, well, that's one of the pleasing things about us going a lot younger with the recruitment. Even if a signing doesn't work out, they're young enough that there's a good chance you'll still at least break even or make a profit. It's going to make a massive difference to us, I think. It's really good.
Yeah.
anything else we've not covered? I think that's a
We haven't
good hour
mentioned
and
Lewis
5
Bate.
minutes of top content.
We haven't mentioned Lewis Bate, who is like a new signing now. Obviously, he's not had any starts yet, but even his cameo at Blackpool, he's just.
Yeah.
I don't think he was as good as he's been. I don't think he was that good before his injury. In terms of consistency, I don't know. I don't mean he wasn't that good. I mean he wasn't as good as he's been showing in the last few weeks.
So I'd got it into my head that him and Norwood couldn't really coexist. I always thought there was an element of them being too similar, but not seen any of that last couple of games. He's really tried to drive us forward. We've had Norwood sitting deeper, and I don't think anyone manages to find the space that he does. It's apart from maybe Bailey, actually, who sort of he really loves taking the ball in an awkward position and really scares the shit out of me sometimes. But he's one of the only players who looks comfortable doing it. So it's like, crack on. So we'll be expecting probably an hour for Bait, I'd imagine, on Tuesday, will we not?
Yeah, I would think that would be the plan. You've just got to be careful and obviously build them up as they go. But I think credit to him because he's not looked like he's not played a lot of football. I think, as you say, he's come back in and slotted in really, really well. So he'll be a big player in the second half of the season, and just really pleased for him more than anything because it's been really difficult at times. He's had a couple of setbacks along the way, and I think I've seen it with players before. Macca and things like that, you can get yourself into a bit of a hole, I think, mentally when you're going through something like that. But he's worked really hard to get back fit. I think you speak to him, he's just really keen to make up for lost time now.
And on one final one before we go on injured players, Hoskonen back on the grass, which is it's always exciting to be reminded he exists. That's good. How is his progress looking now? Are we expecting to see him sometime soon?
Hopefully. I think it was only the small-sided stuff that he was doing last week. He's not doing 11v11 yet, and again, that's just a case of having to be careful with him and build him up. It's been a tough 12 months for R2, and while I appreciate it's frustrating for fans when players are injured and you've not had a chance to see them play. It's more frustrating for the player than anything else. He had a difficult end to his time at his last club because he had 6 months left at his deal. He kind of informed them that he wouldn't be signing a new deal, so they just stopped playing him. So as a result of that, he's only played a couple of games for his national team in the last 12 months. So, and then obviously coming here and coming into a Dave Challoner team, the intensity of training will have gone up massively from what he's been used to. So I think he picked up a groin injury pretty early on in pre-season, got back from that, and then picked up a quad injury. So it's just a case of us building him up and making sure his body's ready to cope with the load, which is a shame because it's one that the recruitment team, coaching staff have been really excited about in the summer in terms of bringing him in, an experienced international player. We just hope that you can build him up and make him more robust, which I think they will do, with the hope of seeing him before the end of the season, as I say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as we've touched on, with big players being back available now, it doesn't feel as much of a panic as it has done in the past when players have been out. We're doing all right defensively now. We seem to have a good collection of players there in and around the first team who are doing well. So yeah, it's not a case of being desperate. And very much the same with Barry. There's no, we can sort of keep it sort of under. Don't have to be like, oh, well, he'll be back soon. Well, he'll be back when he's back. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important for Louis because he didn't really want to set any dates for it because he'll push himself, but it's important he doesn't push himself too hard. Yeah. It will happen when it happens, and if we're getting back for 10 games, 5 games, fine. What an asset to have. So it's just Louis is more of a nice to have, but it's been great at training because there was a time it was real bare bones, and now you got to training and these 22 lads out there involved, so it's great to see.
Yeah, there was a time earlier in the season where we were just having to play players who weren't in form. Just every single week we were having to persevere with these players who just weren't doing it and weren't improving at all. So yeah, it's nice having them options again. There's genuinely a point around September, October where I just got it into my head. It's like we're never going to have options ever again. there will just never be options ever. That'll be it now. But no, it's good. There's a lot to be optimistic about as we go to the business end of the season. I think we'd all agree. Right, I think we will wrap it up there. We won't be live next Sunday because there's no game Saturday and I'll be in London, so I'm not doing a podcast from London. I'm going scouting hotels for Wembley for the Virtue final. I just thought I'd go and do a bit of research. But we'll be back with something probably Monday night. I've got a little idea that I need to speak to Ben about, so we'll sort that out. Liam, cheers for joining us, mate. It's always apprecited.
Pleasure as always.
Anytime. I always assumed that it was Hannah that everyone came to see, so it's good. It's good. We've not put anyone off until he just never messages back now when I ask him to come on again. That'll be it now. No, blocked on Twitter straight within 5 minutes of this finishing. Dave,
no, you're
sterling
right,
debut there. Lovely.
Yeah, sorry, I had to come off my laptop and go onto my phone because my Wi-Fi was just going crazy. So, hey, we overcome obstacles, don't we?
We've all been there, mate. Believe me more than others. Right, don't forget if you've been watching on YouTube to press the thumbs up, and there's some. I'll get Hannah to record something that can just drop in here, and that can be her legacy. I've also ordered. Speaking of Hannah, I've ordered a trophy. The details of which you will find out next episode that you're on, Dave. Little competition for me and you, so that'll be exciting for us.
Okay, then.
And we will see everyone in just over a week when we'll be looking ahead to the game at Bradford. That'll be fun. Right, say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.